And that's the thing about negative stuff on the internet is like, for the most part, like if you're doing the right thing, the majority of people will know that. Hey, I'm Kalie Shorr.
I'd love to know how you got into music in the first place.
I always knew I wanted to do music. I never really had a backup plan. I remember being embarrassed in school when people would be like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And so I just like make something up because being like, I want to be a pop star felt like a little annoying, you know? But as soon as I started putting my songs online in high school, I started to take it really seriously. And like every choice I made was to move in the direction of eventually like moving to Nashville or LA to do music. And I definitely was really driven as a kid. And honestly, sometimes I think I might have been smarter then. And I'm very thankful that I made all those choices that got me here so young. And it was about 21 when I released my first single. And it was called Fight Like a Girl. And it did really, really well. And in retrospect, I'm like, wow, I really lucked out having my first single do so well because I was immediately able to do music full time.
Wow. How did you do like marketing for it? Or like how'd you know?
I didn't. It was just like went viral on YouTube. Like,
wow.
I mean, I was working at I was singing in a hotel lobby at that point. So, and before that I worked at a hot dog stand. So it was like, there was no money behind it. I literally like filmed a music video with my old team and they were shooting a music video for a much bigger artist that day. And they had the space for like a couple extra hours. And so we snuck in after the other shoot and we like shot a music video really fast, like in this existing set. That did really well. And then it got picked up on Sirius XM.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so then it was like on Spotify playlists and just like everything really worked out in an amazing way. It turns out the music industry is a lot more difficult than that. I had a lot of ups and downs after, but from that point, like I was able to really focus on music and had a lot of really cool opportunities come from it. And I'm still here and it's been almost 10 years since that song came out.
Wow. What kind of opportunities? Like what was the first like big thing where you're like, oh my God, I'm like working as an artist?
I got to be in Teen Vogue.
Wow. Did they just reach out to you or what was it?
It was like women changing the music game, which is like a very large title. I was like, oh wow. I probably just slammed the mic. But I got flown out to LA to be in the magazine. We did a photo shoot and it was like Billie Eilish and Maggie Rogers. And like, I was we had like each girl had like a partner. And so I was with Sabrina Claudio and it was like, you know, Glossier did all the makeup and we were in this like huge, we were like Milk Studios.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, you know, living in Nashville and I was like, that was crazy. So that was definitely a big one. And I felt like definitely things changed after that. And I was doing a lot of red carpets and it was just very overwhelming, but in like the best way. Like I felt like I was like, you know, had stepped into like this Hannah Montana life and I was so thankful for it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
From there, was it like hard to keep the momentum or did you have was it just kind of like an upward growth from there?
Yeah, I mean, there were definitely a lot of like, there's a lot of setbacks. There's a lot of like back and forth, but I mean, I feel like I had a pretty good momentum. I think the biggest thing that I was up against that was negative was it is so difficult even now for women in country. They make up less than 10% of what's on the radio at any given time.
Wow.
There will be like 6 months to a year stretches between women having number ones on the charts. It's just like absolutely insane. It's such a boys game. So there were a lot of like ceilings I was hitting specifically with like signing a record deal where they'd be like, oh my gosh, we think you're so good and you'd like kill it at radio, but like you're a girl and we already have one. And I'm like, one? So I was independent until 2020. And I had released my debut album, Open Book, which was 2019. So it came out, you know, 4 years after my first single. And that also changed everything for me because it was like a total creative shift. I just went through like the worst year of my life and I didn't have a choice other than to just write from a very honest place about what had happened. And that really opened up new opportunities because people really felt it, related. So
did you always like turn to music as like your source of like, I don't know, like your deeper calling? You know what I mean?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I think like it's always been how I processed emotions in that particular era. Felt like I was going back to when I was in high school, writing on my bedroom floor, like processing the fact that like, you know, I was being bullied or like things weren't going right or I was confused by my family dynamic. And it was just returning back to that exact same thing that brought me to it in the first place.
Wow.
And so then that ended up being on the New York Times. It was the #7 best album of the year.
Wow.
And it was above Taylor Swift, which I disagreed with.
Oh my gosh.
I personally disagreed, but 7's also my lucky number. So I was like, all right.
I can't hate it.
Yeah, no, it was awesome.
Wow.
That was a next, like that was a really big one. And I was like, okay, wow, this is going to be incredible. And a lot of great things came from that album, but it also happened right before COVID. So a lot of things that were supposed to happen were like fell apart from there, which was interesting. But also the thing about that time period in music is everybody got screwed over.
Was it ever hard for you to like be so honest in your songs?
Yeah, I mean, like it was easy for me to do it. It was not easy to release it. So
Okay.
It's like, you know, I'd have these songs that I sat on and wouldn't release because they were so personal. And so that was always there, but it was more the like showing them to other people. But eventually you just run out of F's to give and you're like, well, I guess we just gotta like be real, because I couldn't bring myself to sing about things that weren't happening. And so when everything bad was happening at once, I was like, well, I guess we're just gonna put out a really negative album. And it started as a breakup album and then turned into something so much more than that, because it was like me learning about myself and examining, you know, how I grew up and all the factors that went into that. And I think that that's really beautiful to like be like, oh, let me sit down and sing about a man, and then it just ends up being about you, because the most interesting thing about us should never be the people we date.
Was there something that happened to you specifically that was like, I don't care anymore? Like when you're like, okay, like I used to care all the time and now it's like not worth it anymore, like life's too short?
Yeah, I think like going viral will do that to you.
So I know Amy was like a big viral moment.
That was interesting because, you know, it honestly, it was really interesting. Like the most difficult part was it involved another woman. And I never want to be the person who tears down other women. However, in that particular situation, I was like, this person was not being a girl's girl. Because I wrote this song about my close friend who ended up dating my ex a month after we broke up. It wasn't until she released an album and had his name in it that I was like, okay, well, now we can't be in denial anymore. That definitely happened. And so this was like, you know, 2 years after they were together. So it had been a long period of time, but also like, you know, him and I were together for a long time. So I had this idea called Amy, but I was like, well, I'm not just gonna like release this song with her name in it. But then she released a song with someone's name in it, and I was like, well,
I guess we're playing that game.
I guess we're playing that game, right? Like I'm not gonna play by unfair rules, but I was like, okay, if she's allowed to do it, so am I.
Yeah.
And the only difference was my song went viral, and that definitely like opened up to criticism. And I think a lot of it was like valid. Like I think it's an important conversation to be like, how much do women owe each other when one woman acts like she owes the other woman nothing?
So from that video going viral, what was like the response? Like I want to know, like was there like positive response, negative response? Like well, I'm sure there's negative, but like
almost
was there
positive? Yeah, definitely.
Oh, good.
Like, and that's the thing about negative stuff on the internet is like, for the most part, like if you're doing the right thing, the majority of people will know that. And I also like heard from so many people who'd been through a similar situation. There was this one girl who had went through that similar situation where someone she cared about wound up with her ex, and that person's name was Amy, and it was her mom.
Wait, her mom?
Yes, her mom dated her ex-boyfriend. Yeah, which happens with celebrities, and like, but it was like teen. She was like, I really needed this song, and I was like, yeah, I guess you did.
Oh my gosh! So when did you discover your like queer identity or have that awakening?
Miley Cyrus probably. I had like such an abnormal amount of photos of her on my wall. Like I had like 15, like this like Miley Cyrus shrine. I was just like, I just like love her and her music. And then like as time went on, I was like, I think I like her in a way that other girls don't like her. Like, and that was an interesting journey. But I mean, I knew since I was like 13, and I got outed in high school by some kids, which was really hard because I went to a Christian school. And then from there, it was like, you know, I did not grow up in a home that was like supportive of that. So it moved really slowly. I was out to like everybody, like all my friends around 18. But then my management team at the time was very unsupportive of me coming out as a country singer. They're like, it'll ruin your career, you can't do this. And then my publicist and my label were like, you need to let her come out. My manager was like, no. So as soon as that manager ended up dropping me a couple of years later, I was like, well, guess who's coming out?
Oh, wow.
So that was like 2023, and it was the most underwhelming coming out process ever, and I expected it because everyone was like, yeah, duh.
So you took like a 3-year hiatus, and then now
yeah,
you're
I didn't want it to be a hiatus.